2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks since Anthony Albanese returned from this historic visit to China as the first Prime Minister to do so in 7 years. And that meeting came a, quote, normalisation of the relationship. The Assistant Trade and Manufacturing Minister, Tim Ayres, joins me here at the desk as he does on a regular basis. Good to see
Laura.
you. There was so much hope coming from that meeting. Xi Jinping essentially said that trade was going to get back to normal. In that intervening time, and these things do take time, has anything actually happened? Have Aussie exporters been able to sell more of their products to China, or is it just situation normal?
Well, first things first, what the government strategy has been to carefully, calmly and consistently work towards a normalisation of the relations with China. The trade component of that has been important, but it is by no means the only component of the relationship with China and dealing with some of the challenges that exist in that relationship. We've been working through that in a calm and consistent way. Out of the trade impediments that have been put in the way of Australian exports to China, we've resolved about $18.5 billion worth of the $20 billion that are to go. There is still progress to be made.
What's in the road?
There is wine. Beef are the critical issues here.
So what's the problem there?
Well, there's a range of issues that need to be worked through. Wine...
I thought that was solved in China.
Wine, there is a process to resolve the wine questions. There is, of course, still... there is a process that there is a review that the Chinese are undertaking of the impediments that they've put in place of wine. It looks exactly the same kind of process as has been undertaken in terms of...
Is it a labelling thing? Is it a country of origin thing? What is it?
I think those are questions that are best put to the Chinese government.
But surely if we're normalising relationship, we know what they are.
The point I'm trying to make, Laura, is that it is working through a step at a time, that the meeting in China was important progress. The fact of having that meeting and some dialogue at leader level is important progress. It does not mean that every single issue is resolved.
We've been making progress for quite some time, but you'd think the first Prime Ministerial visit from an Australian PM going to China in 7 years, that there would be something material, not just, more of the same.
Well, dialogue's critical.
Yeah, I know, but if the Prime Minister's going to China and Xi Jinping has made all the right noises and said, we're getting back to normal, you'd expect something to happen quite quickly, practically.
I think from the Australian government's perspective, we want to see fast progress on those issues over the coming weeks and months. It was a very successful visit.
How do you measure that success?
Well, in Shanghai, the Trade Minister and the Prime Minister there were 250 companies that would employ tens of thousands of Australians.
Yeah, but sure. Those companies go on every single trade delegation and visit that I've ever been to, so that surely can't be a measure of success.
There haven't been many of them going over the course of the last
because of COVID.
3 or 4 years, because of COVID, because of the challenges in the relationship, and that is an important piece of work that actually matters.
Surely that's not your measure of success. I mean, farmers and exporters and winemakers, particularly in South Australia, we're watching this morning going, hang on, we need to see a little bit more than just, business leaders meeting in Shanghai. It's
been good to see the progress that has been made thus far, but we need to see more progress on those final 3 categories of goods.
Okay. It's wine, beef, lobster?
Yes, that's right.
Got it.
That's right. And the thing about those exports and the exports that have been the subject of the impediments that have been resolved is they are all regional. These are all regional jobs. They are categories of industry that employ people in good jobs in regional areas. And the government's approach is, yes, stabilise the relationship with China. That is important from a trade perspective. It's also important from a strategic perspective. But as you know, the government is all about diversifying our trading relationships.
Yeah, it's hard to do that though.
Well, it's hard work, but it's necessary work.
And we have done a little bit of that. Indonesia, India, certainly in the frame there. But the reason why this is so important, and I'm so bullshit with you this morning, is because cost of living is the number one issue. Yeah. This directly affects people and their household budgets. Last night we hear from Michelle Bullock that inflation isn't caused by overseas, not the Ukrainian war, not what's going on in Israel. This is homegrown now. That sounds like a you problem.
Trade's trade is important. You know, it is important in terms of jobs. The jobs in firms that are trade exposed provide better wages and better quality jobs than jobs in the rest of the economy. It's absolutely vital for our growth, for good jobs for Australians, and indeed attending to the kind of issues, the long-term structural issues that you're alluding to. But what I'm trying to say, Tim, and I'm sorry, I keep on interrupting you today and I hate that, but we are running out of time. But what I'm trying to say to you is that the government has Michelle Bullock thrown you under the bus here? Because essentially, this is a you problem now. There needs to be done more on the fiscal side, whether it's migration, better skills match up, or direct support. Or will that be inflationary? All of these issues are being attended to by the government in a pretty careful way. You've seen a $23 billion cost of living package, which has been demonstrated to have not only provided relief for Australians who are facing big challenges in terms of inflation, but also to have put downward pressure on inflation. Electricity is cheaper than it would have been.
Sure, but
18% cheaper.
You have control over the level of migration and whether that matches the skills. It feels like, and it looks like, and there's evidence that has not matched. I mean, you've had 500,000 migrants come in the last 12 months, and you still have a massive skills shortage in the construction sector, for example, and a shortage in housing. That is pushing up inflation. That is pushing up the cost of homes, yet your government still has a massive migration intake plan for the next year. Doesn't that need to be seriously limited?
Well, there are inflationary pressures across the economy. Don't forget where this started, where we've started and where we've got to. Inflation is certainly moderating. We'd like to see it moderate faster.
Migration?
In terms of migration, that we've inherited a migration system that has been broken. And the government has... there are challenges there in the economy in terms of skill shortages.
I fully accept that, but you cannot blame the intake of 500,000 migrants on the previous government. It was squarely the choice of this government, and how you match those skills was in your power. Yes, you needed more migrants to fill those skill shortages, but was the level too high? Too quickly?
Well, I don't believe it was too high. I don't believe it was too quick. It does mean that we've got to focus on, in an ongoing way, on making sure the migration settings are right for now, but also in a structural way for the future.
We just had the opposition leader in New South Wales saying it is too high. It needs to return to pre-COVID levels, which was about 250,000, if not lower.
Well, we've got skill shortages that we've got to attend to.
Do you see the point in that argument?
And we've got to get homes built. We've got to get houses built. We've got to get infrastructure built. We've got to make sure that we attend to all these issues, for inflation in the short term, but also for making sure we're attending to the big productivity and other challenges for the future. We have had a decade where government's been sitting on its hands and coasting. Now the government is actively engaged with resolving these issues, whether it's in terms of migration, productivity, infrastructure,
but more hairdressers
the energy.
Aren't going to build those homes.
That's right.
Right. So
we
bringing in the wrong skilled workers is my point.
We need workers in the areas of the economy where we need to see skills growth or capacity growth. Housing is obviously one of those, but it's not the only one, Laura.
Okay. Always good to talk to you, Tim.
You too, Laura. See you soon.
See you soon.